Okay, so we are at the Seattle-Tacoma Airport, and I got to tell you, it is a pleasant experience. It's not laid out as comfortably as Charlotte is, but the traffic flow is a lot smoother, and it's the TSA screening is a way more pleasant experience. The people here are very friendly. The guy was making jokes with us. He was nice. Going through that whole check-in process was smooth. They even helped us get our stuff together afterwards. Walking around with the ticket agent came over and helped us put our labels on our baggage. We had to get some Seattle coffee because we're here in Seattle. Why not get some, not just regular Starbucks, but actual Seattle coffee? And we're here in the Central Terminal, and there's a guy playing guitar back in the corner. Sounds great. So anyway, our flight is getting ready to take off in a little bit. So we're just having a little bit of coffee and resting before we get on the plane. And we'll have more to come. Stay tuned. So check it out. It's about 5 in the morning. I got up and started working on this wood right away. Yesterday I got off work, and I don't know why, but my brain just kept going 100 miles an hour about what I wanted to do with this cedar wood. Let me show you what I'm working on here. So this cedar wood I used to have as two very nice pieces of wood. I was talking about possibly doing a project with it for some people that own a local restaurant. They have decided to instead go with a different plan rather than use live wood, live edge wood, I guess you'd call it. But it didn't deter me from wanting to do something with this. And you know, it started off as like a long plank up against the wall, and it had little offshoots that went in weird directions, and I kind of wanted to bring it into a usable piece. I cut it in just over 6 foot, both of them. Made a flat edge on both sides so that they're 90 degrees, and then sort of just rounded off the edges and took off the excess bark. And there's sections where it thinned out really thin because it was cut with a bandsaw, or not a bandsaw, a sawmill. So it was just, you know, bark and everything coming around the corners. I rounded off the edges with a grinder with a flap disc on the end. I'm using that Harbor Freight Hercules 4.5 inch grinder, which is really powerful, it's really fast, does not bog down at all, unlike the cheap one that I'd had before. But I went and took the bark off both sides of this wood and off of the corners, both pieces, and then I had some holes. Now, in the past, I've not been sure how to fill holes, and I've kind of struggled with what to fill it with, and I've gone the gamut of using like Durham's wood putty. Let me show you what this is. Like, I call it wood putty, it's water putty. Durham's hard rock water putty. My dad turned me onto this stuff to repair something on by the back door, and it worked really good, and I've been using it since. Now, I've also tried to fill things with this 2-part epoxy system that you mix equal parts into a container. Like, I've got these little plastic containers. You mix equal parts, blend it up a lot, and then fill the hole, and it should harden into a thing. Well, the problem with that stuff is you get what you pay for, and if you get that stuff at Lowe's, you don't get the good quality stuff. You get the stuff that's, you know, lowest consumer level. They do make some stuff that I watch people use on Instagram and YouTube that works really fantastic, that's hard and looks incredible, and you can put like colored pigments into it and that kind of stuff. And I just don't have that yet. I don't have that kind of money. I don't have that kind of resources. But what I do have is I've got Durham's. Now this big container here is like, I want to say it's around 10 bucks, and it goes a long way. You just add water to it, mix it up, and then spread it. And you get the consistency that you want, and you fill it in the hole. Now, if you've got a hole all the way through, you're gonna have a problem because you can't fill a hole with, you know, basically a putty of sorts, because it'll go straight through the hole and fall on the ground. What I did though was I cut some pieces and I shaped it using the grinder I cut some pieces and shaped it and wedged them in the holes so that they pretty much filled the holes with cedar wood. And then I used some carpenter's glue. I got some, let me show you, because you guys are gonna be like, what kind of glue is it? I don't know. It's just Elmer's wood glue. I just used that to hold it in place. The glue was going through the holes and I ended up with some on the ground. But I put paper towels underneath it and glued it basically to the wood underneath. So it looks like that right now. Now, the paper towels will come off, even if I have to use a sander to sand them, you know, paper and all to get them off. That actually holds there fine. I let it sit overnight. It dried, it hardened. This morning I got up and everything looked like it had bonded really well. So I went ahead and mixed up some putty, some water putty, and I put that Durham's in these holes. Now you can see here I didn't fill everything. This is just the first coat, but the idea is I want to get the holes somewhat filled and I can sand away afterwards. This is sort of like if you've ever worked on a car using Bondo, you overfill the hole so that you can sand it and then take away things, and then if you need to add more, you add more and then sand again. This is the process. But anyway, so I'm gonna work on that. This is actually the underside. I had a split right here and I put a thin piece of cedar wedged in between here with glue. It's actually bigger than the hole, like on the top and bottom. But when I sand that, that's gonna be not only with glue, but also with that rock hard putty, so that when I sand it, it'll all be a one combined piece. I've watched people make these bow tie looking things that tie them in together. I don't know how to do that yet. I'm not that advanced. I'm just an amateur guy in his garage. You can see I'm just in my garage, vehicle parked here and everything, doing this on my own. So don't really take me as an expert. Don't listen to my, rantings as, oh, this is how he does it. I mean, listen, I'm figuring this out as I go. So just as an amateur guy, this is what I've done so far. I would like to talk a little bit about this black walnut table. I have put now, God, was it 6 coats of clear urethane. I'm using this Helmsman, that's how you pronounce it? Minwax Helmsman Clear Gloss Spar Urethane, indoor, outdoor. And you can see, it looks beautiful. I was worried a little bit about the fact that I'd used teak oil. This, coincidentally also Helmsman teak oil. I had used several coats of teak oil on this wood, and I was a little worried that the oil was going to make it so that the urethane wouldn't stick. But that was not the case at all. It actually stuck really nice. I let it dry for a few days. I have a few spots here where I'm using a brush and the bristles themselves are coming out into the finish. I am sanding it. I've got an orbital sander, and I'm using 400 grit to sand off the layers of stuff where hair gets stuck in it, or I've got one little spot where there's some excess spillover. But use that 400 grit and it's actually like really glossy and has a nice finish. This is level and smooth. And if you remember what it looked like when I got it, it had a peak in the middle of it where the whole thing had kind of bowed up into the center, and it looked like it was gonna like crack all the way down the center. That's not the case anymore. It's actually held up with a brace, the length of it on both sides, where the leg kind of goes into the brace so that everything is flat and even and very, very nice. And it's beautiful. Golly, this is the first time I've ever done anything with black walnut. It won't be the last. This is a beautiful wood, and I'm just enjoying this. Now, I'm still amazed that I can do this crap, because, I think I've started in March of this year, and here it is November 2nd, and I'm just amazed that I even figured out how to do any of this crap, because I've had no instruction. There's nobody like around me going, this is what you do right here. I'm just figuring this out as I go. And so far what I've figured out is really, really nice. Really beautiful, really artistic. And the pictures don't do it justice. I mean, I've looked at photos and stuff that I've taken and videos, and I'm like, it's still prettier in person. I mean, I can't stop looking at it. It's amazing. So anyway, I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm humble. I'm humble. I'm blessed. I'm thankful. I've gotten inspiration from a lot of people. I've gotten a lot of motivation from a lot of people. A lot of folks have, give me encouragement along the way. So thank you. I don't know what I'm going to do with these 2 pieces of cedar. In my mind, I pictured it going into a restaurant, and now that's not the case. So I don't know what the plan is. Right now the plan is I'm just going to work on it and probably finish the pieces themselves so that I can figure out which side is the top. More than likely it's going to be the underside of what I'm working on right now. I'm going to flip these over. But maybe not. Maybe not. I may finish this, get it all flat and smooth, and then go ahead and put some urethane on it. Because if I do that, then I'd have 2 pieces kind of like this right here. I got 2 separate pieces here that are finished on one side. I hadn't finished the other side. But, I mean, they look gorgeous and it protects it. And it's sort of inspirational because I walk over here sometimes and I go, oh, I want to do this with it. I want to do that with it. But it's literally one of those things where there is no rule. There is nothing saying, well, you got to do this, you got to do that. I'm literally just enjoying making it and brainstorming what I'm going to do with it, if that makes any sense. So, anyway. Thank you to everybody for watching and supporting and being a part of this channel. And I'm going to keep making stuff. I'm addicted. What can I say? Thanks. I flipped these over and pulled off some of the paper that was stuck to it. The glue that was on the ground just came right up. It wasn't stuck at all. It just peeled right up and no problem. What's in here though is still a little wet, and I'm going to let it air dry. The paper was keeping it from completely drying. Everything is pretty stuck. I threw some stuff away here. I'm going to let this dry more, and then I'm going to come out here and I'm going to pack this hole particularly, and probably that one, and maybe put a little bit in here of the Durham's wood putty over it. It's not going to hurt anything. When I sand it, all the paper will disappear miraculously. You'd be like, oh wow, it really turned out nice. So I don't know that 100%. I'm just saying that so that when I do it, you'll be like, he was right, holy cow. And I hope I'm right. If not, I'll edit this out and you guys will never know. Or I'll leave it in so you can laugh at me. Who cares? All right. I sanded this again with 400 grit paper, and I'm going to use, I've been using a brush to put it on, and the bristles keep coming off in the finish. So I've got a foam brush. I'm going to use the foam brush to lay it on. Just a nice even coat. There we go. I used the foam brush and put on another coat of very nice clear urethane. Ooh, pretty. All right, so I've packed in the holes with Durham's, and I'm just going to let this dry. I want it to dry really hard before I start sanding on it, because I know when I start sanding on it, some parts are going to want to move, and I don't want them to move and break and come out. I want them to harden really hard. This has also got to dry. This has got the final coat of clear urethane. I'm saying final coat. I'm hoping it's the final coat. We'll see. We'll see how it dries, and if it's to my liking. If not, I'll put some more coats on it. So yeah, here we go. It's about 7 o'clock now. I think I'll go inside. Been on here for a couple hours. Have some more coffee.